It's in progress. All right, everybody, welcome to Chiropractic Connection. Today I've got my friends, Dr. Phipps's. I've got a married chiropractic couple, power team. So I want to introduce them to you guys and then get started on getting some information. So I'm gonna turn it over to my counterpart here to get us introduced.
All right, with Cairo Connections, we're trying to, at the very best of our ability, to be a bridge between students and practitioners that are successful, that are uh, they're making practice and life work in many different ways, right? Our intent is to expose these students to all different ways of practice, and then if they find something that fits for them, there's someone that's successful that's doing it that they can lean on. There's a lot of crazy information coming from these students out of school. I think that they're hardened towards certain ideas and aspects about practice without any explanation and understanding. And we would like for them to be able to get some information from these practitioners before it starts to cost them money if we can. We're trying to do this complete gratis, free. So with that, uh, please first, if you would, Doctors Phipps, if you would just introduce yourselves, uh, name, where you practice, and tell us a little bit about what made you decide to become a chiropractor.
Yeah. You want me, sir? You want me to? So I'm Taylor Phipps, actually 2017 grad from Cleveland. And we practice currently in Crete, Nebraska, small town, rural community, man. We have 7,000 roughly people that live here. So, you can do it anywhere. We also owned a practice that we ran in Kansas City as well. And so the principles of chiropractic travel, like they're truly life principles that you get to learn in your life. And then, my journey to chiropractic is one that was long. I've been adjusted since I've been 3 years old, but throughout my entire, adolescence, childhood, I never thought I would ever be a chiropractor. That never even crossed my mind until I was injured in a wrestling tournament. I had to come back in college to my family chiropractor here in town and get some x-rays. Thought I broke a couple ribs and things. And at that moment, he was just like, like, what are you gonna do with your life moving forward? And I was like, hey, man, I really don't know. I think I'm gonna be a PT, work with athletes, all those kinds of things. And he was like, interesting, interesting. Like, and then he started just asking me some probing questions that no one had ever asked me, like, yeah, well, how do they like get patients? Who do they mostly work on? And all these kinds of things. And he started dispelling some myths for me. He's like, like if you're going to come back to Nebraska, you have to have a medical provider refer you these people. Most of those people are going to be old people with knee replacements, hip replacements. You're just going to be an occupational therapist, basically. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, have you ever thought about chiropractic? And I was like, no, I never considered it, even though I've been adjusted since I was 3 years old. And he was planting some seeds in me. We talked a little bit about it, how great practice can be, being your own boss, running a clinic. You can be you really well off, have a great life for your family, which I saw within his family. I was friends with his son, who's in his close grade to me, and I've been to his house, played with all their toys, motorcycles, and all those things. And I was like, man, this is pretty awesome. Like, I don't know why I never thought of this. And then I was saying that there was going to be like a chiropractic college fair on Monday at lunch, or like 1 to 3 or something. I was like, that's so crazy. I got to go check it out. And so I went and checked it out, and started meeting with some of the colleges, and started talking with the gal at Cleveland. And I was kind of unhappy in the situation that I was in at my undergrad. And I realized that I already had all the credits that I would need to start chiropractic school. And I was like, all right, something was like kind of turning in my heart. And I was like, all right, I think I just got to follow this kind of path. And I did. And the next fall I'm starting in chiropractic school and moving forward. So, that I'm sure many of the students probably have heard this as well, but you know, you don't choose chiropractic, but chiropractic chooses you, right? And every one of us have some sort of story, and I just say that because I know, and it's kind of strange now that more students are going into chiropractic, never even being under chiropractic care before. There's more and more times that you hear that. And so just know that you're there for a reason, that you're there for a purpose. You're called to the profession for sure. And you're going to make a difference in literally thousands of people's lives.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Other Dr. Phipps.
My journey to chiropractic was a lot.
Introduce yourself first. Come on now.
Yeah.
What?
We got to know who you are.
Oh yeah. Well, so I'm Dr. Mary Phipps. Sorry, the other Dr. Phipps. I graduated from Cleveland actually in 2020, so that was a wild time. My journey to chiropractic was a lot different. So I was not adjusted since I was 3 years old. I actually grew up in the paradigm that chiropractors are quacks. So it's interesting that I found myself here because I was one of the sick kids growing up. So I remember like forever, I mean, at least seventh or eighth grade on, like well into college, like every year, same time of the year, I would get things like bronchitis. So I had like the antibiotic thing. So I just was like a sick kid growing up. I had all these issues actually as a baby as well too. I was one of those colicky babies. And they say that you grow out of those things, but I actually had all those things follow me throughout my life, and they just got worse and worse. So it ended up that I ended up getting a diagnosis it was a well woman check. And that kind of wrecked me because I thought I was on the path to either not being able to have kids or having potential like cancer metastasize through my body. And somewhere within in that journey, a seed was planted. Someone for the first time in my life saw some potential in me and spoke some life into me. And I had told Taylor, like, I was thinking about going to like be a physical therapist. And he was basically like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you not just go to chiropractic school? And it was just kind of like, well, I didn't really ever like think that that would ever be an option. And so the more I started looking into it, and of course, I should back up really quick. Chiropractic changed my life. So that's really sorry. So through yeah, I know. So through that diagnosis, of course, I was getting adjusted because he was in my life, he was in school, and my life basically took a complete 180. So I got off all these medications. Of course, I started feeling better in my body, but most importantly, that the diagnosis that I was given at that well woman exam dissipated within 2 years. And so having my entire life transformed by that, and really my life given back to me, I was like, I got to do, something along these lines to change people's lives as well too. And so anyway, where was I at?
Wherever you want to be, sis.
Changed my life. That's ultimately why I'm here today. Yeah, like I said, someone spoke some life into me. I really didn't think that I had that potential. So it was really just that little bit of a seed that was put in my mind, and really everything transformed from that point forward. So, oh yeah, I started looking into chiropractic school, found out I didn't have to really like do much to get in because of my undergrad degree, I had basically all the credits. I had to take a few more, but Cleveland has an accelerated program that I was able to take a couple of these, I think like 5 8-week courses, and that knocked out the remainder credits. When I was initially talking to people, they said I needed to have all of this, like I had to pay a bunch of money out of pocket. Well, when I went back and talked to them, all of a sudden everything was covered through financial aid. So it was really just like a complete divine intervention that worked out, that I could start that right away and then just head into the chiropractic program. So yeah.
Awesome. So something I don't know. Did you guys know each other before chiropractic college?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you were going through chiropractic college while you guys were engaged, dating. What's the?
Yeah, we've been dating since we've been in high school, actually.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's some time apart in like undergrad, but found our way back to each other when I was basically in chiropractic school and started giving her some pretty shitty adjustments, I will say. And it still changed her life. You know what I'm saying?
We like to screw each other up.
It can happen. So
We fix each other later. It's fine.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So you were actually introduced then. Well, your chiropractic miracle then involves your husband. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
Yep.
I honestly, I didn't know that. I honestly did not know that, guys. So when did you graduate, Taylor?
2017.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. And so then you graduated in 20?
2020, August of 2020.
Okay. That's awesome. So let's go here then. So you guys go, you get your degree, 17, 20, you get your degrees, and you decided now you are a chiropractor. You're both chiropractors, right? Or I guess I'm gonna go with you, Taylor, first, since you graduated first. What did you do? So like in the beginning for you, this is kind of nice. And I thought y'all
Yeah.
graduated at the same time. So I'm like, my
Mhm.
mind's blown right now.
Yeah.
So tell me then, Taylor, let's go with you. Like early on, I mean, you had to have some obstacles, right?
Oh,
Like hang-ups,
sure.
like getting the loans and all that stuff. Give me, I mean, as many as you want, elaborate. And then you've got, this, I don't know if y'all are engaged or whatever at the time. She's now going to chiropractic college. Give me
Mhm.
the early roadblocks that you remember, the bigger ones, right? Let's lay it all out there. What were some of the early roadblocks that you had from 2017 on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even before that, I went into school thinking I was going to be a physical therapist, right? So I was doing I don't know if this is a principal call or not, but I went into school doing
Yeah.
like all the modalities, stretching, doing ART, Graston, all of these things. And I was just like, this is kind of terrible. Like I don't enjoy a lot of small talk with people most of the time too. So I'm like, what am I going to do with like 30 minutes of time or an hour of time with everybody? And then I was introduced to Dr. Tim Young. He came and did an adjusting course because I was like, I'm not very great at adjusting. I should probably get into that. So I go in, start working on my adjustments, and then start hearing all these miracles of what's going to happen. And so I would say that would be one of my starting off in school, even like completely changing your paradigm and moving forward in this process. And so through that, there's a band of brothers in Kansas City where a bunch of docs get together, including students, to meet up once a month, twice a month, whatever it is. I got introduced to some docs in the area. And again, just divine intervention. There was a doc in that group who she was looking to sell her practice, and she wanted to move to California. That was always her dream. And so, coming out of school, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was thinking about being an associate. I didn't really consider opening up my own practice from scratch, very much, but purchasing a practice really enticed me a lot. And so, coming out of school, I was working with her, talking to her, going to banks. You have your whole business plan. You're like, this thing is going to be perfect. There's already an established practice. There's cash flow there. There's patience there. It's going to be easy. And so I go to 4, 5, 6 banks, whatever it is, and everyone reads it over and they're like, no, sorry, we can't do it. No, we
Yeah.
can't do it.
You didn't
This,
get
that,
accepted
the
the first time?
yeah, exactly, right. And so, a month goes by and every week I was getting lined up with whoever I could at banks and those denials kept coming and family was talking to me about what I was going to do, how we were going to make this happen and by the grace of God, my grandparents are financially pretty well off. They have some rental properties, things of that nature, and they said, we believe in you. We think that you can do this. What we'll do is we'll put up another mortgage on one of our rental properties, and we'll buy the practice for you. We'll just do, we did a personal loan. Everything had terms. It has interest. It has all those things. I'd gladly pay my grandparents interest on a loan that they're providing me coming out of school, not knowing
Yeah.
jack shit. And so I was really blessed in that aspect. Took some lumps along the way, definitely got to get learning and things, but then getting into the practice, there were many different obstacles and things. I don't know if you guys have ever seen our OG practice, but it was it was a small little house. So it was a house practice
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
a commercial area.
yeah.
I think it was like 1,200 square foot total, but that was between the basement and the upstairs. And so it was tiny. You had to like come in 20s house, whatever it was. So you like walked into a little, what would have been like living room with a little fireplace, a little dining room, had a little kitchenette. and then the 2 bedrooms were like the adjusting space. And then you had to go all the way through the back to the back of the building, down a set of stairs into the basement.
It sounds so crazy not talking about
It
it.
did. I mean, it was a cute little house, but then the extra unit was down in the basement of this house, and
X-ray and exam
a
room.
whole exam room and everything was down there. So people's first visit was all the way down into the basement, where it wasn't digital either, guys. Just so you know, I'm not that old. And it was still plain film, had a processor in the back, dark room, all those kinds of things. So that's what we got to start with. And from there, we just, really took off. And that first year was really rough. You learn a lot. Just took a lot of lumps. I was trying to be more of like that other doctor who was in the practice to try to salvage those people that I was getting initially, right? It was a lot of scarcity mindset. I got a loan, I got to pay back to my grandparents. I need to keep as many people as I can. So instead of going out and cultivating my own culture right away, it was trying to appease those people or adjust like that other doctor. In the sense we had a pretty great retention through that first year. We kept, I think, like 60 or 70% of the people through that first year, but we didn't grow our own culture in our own people, getting those like-minded people that match who we are better. And then second year, we just, you think you know everything until you realize you know nothing, right? And we had some mentorship and things like that along the way. We were going to a conference called so we were getting filled up with chiropractic and the philosophy and all these things every few months. Going to like these kinds of conferences and focus, and we hit everything like we could in the Midwest. But we didn't have a lot of like systems and procedures and those kinds of things that you really need to run a practice and have great retention. So we started coaching with Dr. Joe Borio, where we actually met you guys. Started implementing a lot of these systems and procedures because we did like a lot of porpoising in the practice. We would grow and it was great, and then all of a sudden we were back down to where we were. So
how long were you in practice? So what year would you say you see Travis, Dr. Travis and I talk about this all the time. Every interview we do, it's crazy because we start with question one and we've got them all numbered out, and like the interview
Yeah, y'all
always
start
jumps to the
answering.
next question, and the next one was like mentorship and all that. So let's go here. So how late were you in practice? How long had you all been in practice? And Mary, had you been in practice long before y'all decided, you know what? I mean, we've been going to these things, but maybe we need let's go here to pay a mentor to help us. How long were y'all in practice before that?
3 years. So March of I mean, it was kind of again divine timing. March of 2020, we were like before the 2 weeks will break the curve. All those kinds of things happened.
The weekend, it was either the weekend or 2 weekends before.
Yeah, everything shut down. We were like, all right, like we've done a lot of this, and like at the time we were seeing like 100 people a week, 120 people a week, and that was just continuing. We'd get up to 150. I was like, this is great, and then all of a sudden it's like 90 people I saw 2 weeks later. I'm like, what is going on? What's happening? And I just realized, like I just can't do it anymore. The mentorship and stuff was great, but I wasn't paying for it, so I wasn't super committed to it. So as soon as I started putting a little bit of the skin in the game, and it was like, whatever it is, $600 a month, and you're just kind of getting by. That's a lot at the time. So you're like, all right, like I gotta dive in and fully go commit into this. And as soon as we started, COVID hit. So Mary was in an impromptu basically doctor for 6 months before she was actually, a doctor in the practice. So that was pretty great because she helped out and did a ton of exams. And, from there, we really grew and took off in that first year, actually during COVID. I mean, we more than doubled our practice
within 6 months.
Within like 6 months of actually getting some real coaching and some real mentorship that we took seriously. I think and it was pretty amazing.
So I had not graduated by that point. Yeah. I was getting ready to graduate in August. School shut down and they didn't know what to do because this had never happened before. So they were trying to figure out a way for things to go online, but I was on the clinical side of things. So like I needed adjustments, and that was like the only thing that I needed, and they couldn't figure out a way to make that happen. So I had a period of time, my boards kept getting pushed back. They were trying to figure out what to do with that. And I was just kind of like, I think I stayed at home for maybe like a week or two. And then I was like, I gotta like do something. And so we had our first daughter. By then she was 5 months old. And so I just went to the office, and I think we were just at a point where we're like, we're not going down. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going down. This is going to be a great opportunity for us to grow. And it was slow probably for the first, like that 2 week shutdown. And then we started changing things around. I think we changed, our
Yeah.
conviction got a little bit stronger. Um, and then we started doing some other like marketing things that we hadn't done before as well too. And we just took off with that. So
Travis, you can ask the question now.
Awesome. Well, so before I ask the next question, I just want to hit on some things that Taylor talked about. Um, we're pretty principled, but we're trying to reach. That's one of the things that I've talked with my brother about. He's 19 years younger than me, so he's like our oldest son. Uh, but there's such a large number of students going to school that have no intentions on adjusting and don't know anything about chiropractic, but
Mhm.
they want to be a chiropractor, right? So what you're saying, I mean, this is the reason why we're doing this. There's so many that my brother's in the fraternity. He's not married. Logan is getting married. He's not in the fraternity. And so you kind of run with different groups and stuff, but there's a whole bunch of folks that my brother's going to graduate with in December that they don't want to adjust at all, right? So and I wonder how much of it they don't understand it, they're fearful of it, and so I just wanted to hit on that because you're talking about not knowing which direction you're going to go in school and wondering if this was a principled call. It kind of is. We want people. I don't care what you do in your practice. Wes will tell you. We'll tell you off camera what we do in our offices. We adjust patients, but there are lots of ways to make money, where you're not leaning over a patient that we are not opposed to at all in the healthcare field. And then as far as trying to get a loan at a bank, I was approved for my SBA loan in my 5th year of practice, just so you know, after I applied. So I thought you would appreciate that. My start was with 2 credit cards. We won't get into all that stuff, but yeah, they told me, well, I think there's plenty of chiropractors in town. I'm like, well, how many chiropractors are in town? And they're like, well, I don't know. I said, then how do you think there's plenty? Right? I don't understand.
Mhm.
So I had the
Mhm.
same problems too. You mentioned that because we like names. The reason why we like, we're not afraid of names. We once again, we want these students as this bridge, and you're helping us with that. We're very grateful for your time. But you mentioned Tim Young learning to adjust. He is very confident. We love that about Tim. Both Wes and I know Tim very well. Obviously, Joe Borio, but you talked about the DE group. Are there any other mentors that that you that you guys really followed, that you liked what they had to say? They kind of helped with your practice model and the way that you guys deliver chiropractic in your office.
That's fair. I mean, I can.
yeah.
Mine aren't necessarily even like living anymore. It's like looking back, reading a lot of green books, reading what chiropractic was about initially. I mean, I liked history. I had like working on a history
Mhm.
minor in undergrad, and like learning all those things was so amazing. Like what they were doing and what they were thinking back in 1895, the turn of the 1900. Like they're thinking like all of these like quantum field kind of things that are being proven right now that we're just looking into. It's amazing the thought that went behind, the intention that they went behind developing the profession of chiropractic. It's just absolutely amazing to start off. And then I was introduced to like Sigafus. Like I was given them, if you guys have ever heard the Red Deer tapes,
Yeah.
I played those in my vehicle, literally to and from the office for like a year straight.
How long was your
It was
commute?
like 25 minutes both ways. And I over and over and over and over again, just to listen to the message and the principle and the passion that they had behind it. was absolutely amazing. And then reading some like Fred Barge's work or Sid Williams, The Meadowlands is a book. It's a talk of him. It's 2 days of him up speaking, and someone just wrote it all down. He was up in New Jersey back in whatever that was, 80s, 90s, heyday of Sid Williams, and just like reading some of those things, listening to some of his talks, and dropping the keys and like trying to pick up on these principles that people are telling you in parables that can hit you a little bit differently. We're really big in my passion for chiropractic.
So
Awesome.
I want to expand upon that. So at Cleveland, I am old. I am an old practitioner. I graduated from there a little bit before you two guys did, but I was in a lot like you, Taylor. I didn't have a purpose. I had been adjusted, but I wanted to make money and I wanted to get out of the I'll just say it, the hellhole I was in.
Mhm.
I grew up very poor and didn't have the best role models and all that, so I just wanted to get out. But the craziest thing was I didn't realize what chiropractic was until there's a gentleman named Herbert Ross Reaver. I don't know if you guys know who this man is. I got to meet
Well,
the man.
chiropractor.
I got to meet the man, and when he stood
What?
up in front of in front of he
Whoa.
died the next year. He was at Cleveland Chiropractic College, and he said, "Hey, Millie and I, we're not late birds, but we like to talk to people, and we don't go to bed at 6." So he said, "I will be in our hotel room, this hotel, this number. We eat dinner from 6 to 6:30, from 6:30 to 8." I think he said, "Y'all can come if you want to. Everybody can come to the hotel." And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. 3 people showed up. 3 people showed up. I didn't even know. I honestly didn't even at that point know that chiropractors were. I mean, I knew they were gelled and all that stuff, but I didn't understand it. Man, getting to hear that guy talk, that was just. I mean,
Yeah,
he
that's
was
pretty cool.
not just a chiropractic giant. He was a civil rights giant. Who's been brought to within inches of his life multiple times. So yeah, that's awesome that you use. That's something I never thought about as far as mentors go. Like not the guys that you're just drawing direct information from, but the individuals that just you learn about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and I got to speak with Jim Sigafus on the phone, and when you talk about having information from Sigafus, I had it on, and I'm not as old as Wes, haven't been in practice as long as Wes, but I had it on cassette tape. I don't even know if you know what that is. So
Yeah,
I
I know.
had
I've
12
heard
hours
that.
of SIG.
I heard that he would. So your coaching call, Sigafus would record on a tape and send it to you, right? That's
Well, I
awesome.
just had 12 hours of SIG on cassette
On
tapes.
cassette.
Oh,
It was
you bought his
crazy.
tapes? Oh, that's
I've
awesome.
got
Yeah.
it on
I
CD.
called I called to order it and he answered the phone and I was like, I'm trying to get a hold of, Jim Sigafus's office. He goes, speaking. I was shocked. I was like, he answered his own phone. So it's crazy. Well, back on track here. Could you guys, would you be willing to share with us some of it about your specific practice model? Like, you know, are you guys straight chiropractic? Do you have therapies in the office? Other things that you do, and then pros and cons of your model that you can see that you felt as you've been up and going in practice.
Um, I'll start and let you finish here because we've gone. So we've always done straight chiropractic. I've never adjusted someone on like the first day that they've come into practice because I'm going to evaluate the spine, the nervous system, figure out what's going on, and adjust them their second visit in. That's what we've always done. And I would say to tell the students, don't be afraid to change. I started out adjusting like full diversified, flying seven, took a hard 180, started doing upper cervical knee chest only. Okay. Pattern work the whole 9 yards, like everything. Um, and then as we started seeing volume, we didn't have the space that worked well enough for that. So, because again, we had other mentors at DE like Eddie Martinez, Steve Judson, Paula Hedgelon, some of those really big people in the profession that do a lot of like toggle knee chest stuff at DE were an influence for us as well for those kinds of things. But then, Mary got into the practice and we wanted to practice and adjust somewhat similarly. So that way people aren't like, oh, I want her or I want him
Mhm.
to make our flow as smooth as possible. So then we started to deviate from that and do an upper cervical more like specific analysis, where she found MC2 is the protocol that we will use. to analyze the spine. Which how'd you figure out about MC2?
Oh, so my journey in like adjusting was a lot different than I feel like the traditional student. So Tim Young came to the school. I was an undergrad and I took his seminar because he was welcoming and let me do that. So that was my first start into adjusting. And then my next seminars that I did were all tonal based seminars with John Martinez and Eric Rubin. So when we were in there learning how to adjust, it wasn't like listing adjustments. It was more like I don't even know how to explain it because it's just the way that I work. It's like an innate connection, and like of course you're using objective findings, but like your connection is the priority there. So I found MC2 after we found tall ski tonal, vibed with that for a little bit, but we still wanted to manually adjust. And I don't remember how I came across the seminar. Do you remember?
Mm-mm.
So it's through
No.
Dr. Steve Hoffman. And I know that through the ICPA, like there's quite a few pediatric chiropractors who practice with MC2 because of its like your ability to apply it across all populations.
Yeah, it's a neurotonal approach to
Yes.
care.
So it was a great like combination of tonal based adjusting while using a manual technique and then also an upper cervical emphasis.
So it really fit like all the worlds that we were in because I was like more structural, she was more tonal, EGI, doing some of those kinds of things, and so which I enjoyed too. But we were trying to think of systematically what's going to work best for us to be able to see the most people in our practice together that would be
Yeah.
most similar.
Knowing that we're prenatal, pediatric, and family-based practitioners. So when we're dealing with the prenatal population, we couldn't be like, well, we're going to be adjusting you off of your x-rays because you don't have x-rays, to use with that population. So within a MC2, it marries really well with the Webster technique. And then you're also having, like, you have a specific protocol and procedure to check for subluxation and to check if that was clear. And that's what was the most important to us because when we were in the strict upper cervical model, it made sense to us to have a specific check for subluxation and a specific check to see if the nervous system had cleared out. So given that technique and analysis provided those things, we just ran with it and we've stuck with it ever since. So we're straight cash, prenatal, pediatric, and family wellness based. We
Say
only
that first part again. You're straight what?
straight cash.
Love it.
Yeah.
Never taken insurance yet
Yeah.
either. So
You've never taken insurance?
No.
never.
Love it.
It
So
was tempting.
So from the get-go, you can be successful just accepting cash.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That was huge. Go ahead. Sorry. Didn't want to interrupt.
Mhm.
That's huge.
So we lived in Kansas City for a period of time, and like that was what we knew was cash-based practice. And then we moved to a small blue-collar community, and there was a period of time where we were like, are we gonna have to start like taking insurance right now? And so we're like talking to our friends about it, and they're like trying to explain it to us, and we're like, this doesn't make any sense because like, between co-insurance and co-pays, and I'm like, they're paying the same, if not less, as a cash-based model. But then you hear about all these practices that are like, just crushing it with insurance, and we're just like, this doesn't make any sense to us when an insurance company can come back to you and be like, we're actually going to give you $30 and maybe less, So I don't know. I think that just kind of it was good for us to have that moment, like that hard moment that we could be faced with, like, are we gonna, I don't want to say bow to this, but like, are we gonna give into like, some of the values that were really, really important to us, or are we just gonna push past this little bit of a challenge and make this thing still, get off the road and running? Because when we sold our practice, we had a 6-week break in between sold, moved, and then opened up our new office.
They call that an oh shit moment, Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did well. So, okay, so I know the answer to this already, but I want to hear y'all say it. So, do y'all direct more? Because there's students out there that don't know what they want to do, and honestly, one part of what the question I'm about to ask you scares the bejesus out of them. But do you guys do palliative care, or do you talk lifetime care with your patients?
Oh yeah. Lifetime wellness care. So a big gut check for us was we were talking about wellness care, and forever our wellness was every other week. And then we were like, dude, we don't even get adjusted every other week. We get adjusted at least weekly. And all these people out here are dealing with like, even more stress than that. So weekly wellness care is king in our office. If we have to do every other week, based on some financial or time-based hardships, like we're willing to work with that. But in order to be the most congruent version of ourselves and have our practice be as congruent as possible, we got to give people the recommendations that we would give our families. So
I'll say the more congruent we've gotten over the years, the more we've grown, so don't be afraid. Don't make those deviations to who you are in practice getting started is for sure. Sit down, think on it, like what do you want, and cultivate it from there. So don't
reverse engineer.
Reverse engineer it 100%. Yeah.
Love that.
Awesome. Well, just so you know, like I said, not as old as Wes, not been in practice as long as Wes,
You
but
keep
Dr.
saying
Gene.
that,
Hey, he's drilling at home.
Yeah, well, I got all this gray. I want you to know. But Dr. Jeannie Ohm was my instructor for Webster technique, which is pretty cool. To actually learn from the person who, created it was pretty neat.
She was at Focus our first year that we went to. Living in Nebraska, home birth is like not a thing. So she's up on stage talking about, I think her story was about a twin mom who she was like at home birth, adjusting. And it was just like, what is happening right now? And then you had like Andrew Wakefield get up on stage and like
I was
this is
there.
stuff that we hadn't been exposed to, and we're like, are we in freaking the Twilight Zone right now? Like,
I've said it.
What is happening?
With Dr.
Mary wasn't even in school then. Yeah, so
Really?
yeah, that year because she was still finishing up some undergrad stuff before she could get into chiropractic, and I don't think I was practicing yet either.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
still, second year.
we were just getting into like being a philosophical chiropractor, and we're hearing all this stuff, and we're like, what is going on? What do you mean?
Babies at home? Like, oh man.
Well, those OBGYNs back in Moses's day.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure they had.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Forceps,
So
technical interventions.
Yeah, right. So, yes, earlier, once again, like I said, it's fun how you guys automatically just kind of switch. Like our questions, the way we set them up and we modeled and it's not just with you guys, with other guys, other people that we've talked to, it's like they just like hit on the next question. So you guys talked about marketing and some of the things you did. What are some of your favorite or most successful marketing approaches? Like you strictly referral based, screenings, dinner with the dog. Tell us about the legs that hold up your table.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this earlier today, hoping that you were going to ask this because um, when we were like on fire, like doubling, tripling, quadrupling our practice, we were doing like anything, absolutely anything. We were doing like fishbowl marketing, and I just wanted to bring that. Do you remember some of those lunch and learns? Lunch and learns, it was like dinner talks that we went and did at people. We went to people's houses.
We went to someone's house.
And they were like some really sketchy places that we went to in like KCK, Wynot area. If you guys are in Kansas listening to this, they were sketchy. We were like, what if we got a group of people? It doesn't matter. We're gonna go talk to them. And we were in like literally like Section 8 housing a couple times, like talking to like literally anybody and everybody. And I just bring that up.
What did these cross our mind though? That's the thing. Is like now looking back, we're like, maybe that was questionable, but at the time we're like, let's go.
But I wanted to bring that up because we talk about this a lot. And it's just the fact that like when you go to sow those seeds and you have no expectation of return in that, like you're just going to spread the message of chiropractic. The universe is going to provide for you. And we see that time and time again when we're willing to put ourselves out there. So lunch and learns are like one of our favorite out of market.
One of your favorites.
So like in the office, like I do the talks, we do a Monday night report. I do the talk. Mary does a lot of the marketing things. So In the beginning, as we were like getting a foothold in our community and who we are and creating a brand, a lot of them were dinner talks, like where we invited people to come to a restaurant and we would talk to 20, 30 people. We would do lunch and learns over our lunch hour. We'd take sandwiches, most likely was the easiest one. It was a Pickleman's, a little sub shop down the street from the office. We would go there, do those kinds of things. We would do training events, all sorts of things. But the more we did that, again, the universe just kept providing us people. Like maybe we didn't sign up the whole room, but the next day we get in the office, we have like people that scheduled online from somewhere that we don't even know, like
Well,
just getting out there and doing the hard work, it pays off time and time again. The other way that we've done it, especially during COVID,
I was just gonna say.
was like Facebook marketing, some of those kinds of things, which we don't do any of that now with like social media people that we like pay to do it. Mary's just really good at creating social media content. So consistency would be the biggest thing I'm sure Mary would say with that.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of forgot this actually. I'm glad that you brought it up. So I was still in school, but my last year, Taylor and RCA at the time were just hitting up lunch and learns like left and right. Like literally our office hours were Monday through Thursday at that point. Tuesday and Thursday, long lunch breaks. So every Tuesday and Thursday for a period of time, they would have lunch and learn. Like I remember one time we had food poisoning. Like we both had food poisoning. I had to leave school. This guy is like throwing up in the office, feeling terrible, comes home to like sleep for a little bit, goes back out to this lunch and learn, comes back home, and then ends up going back to the office. But anyway, so that's how serious those lunch and learns happen.
I didn't sign up anybody, if you guys were wondering.
That's fine.
No one signed.
You did.
He said done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
We went to the Truth, signed up with Dr. Joe, COVID hit, so all of that marketing that we had been doing was just taken away because everyone started working from home. So that's when we had to shift gears. We started doing that Facebook marketing. And then with my time out of the office, I just was like, we got to have like this personal online brand. So I started getting into like more of the social media aspect of things. And it's not like it happened right away, but it was more like one of those things we started to gain an online presence in something that like everyone's going to have different strengths, right? So I'm pretty big on relationships. Like connection for me is just like pretty easy. So we capitalized on those different types of things. And so we took that to this small town because we don't have we could probably create more lunch and learn opportunities, but like at some point I don't want to say max out those businesses, but you're going to start having to repeat those talks at the businesses that are around here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got really heavily involved with the chamber here, which was not something that was super easy to do in Kansas City because it was so big. But here it's much easier to get involved there, and we just poured into those connections. So every chamber event that we could go to, we went to. And then we started doing different touch points just to let people know that we're like, hey, we're here in this community. So we made little postcards that told people a little bit about us, like things that we help in the office, because we're trying to like let people know chiropractic works with the nervous system and the healing potential of the nervous system is infinite, right? So a lot of people don't know how chiropractic can affect ADHD, behavioral problems like pregnancy, all those different types of things. And so we take them into the offices around here, introduce ourselves, and then we do another touch point where we would like drop off coffees or just like something just nice that would like brighten people's days.
Did like Christmas baskets. So like we had like had someone make us like professional looking, I don't know if that's the right word, like cookies, like give like to give those businesses that we've created touch points and relationships with here in the community.
And the goal wasn't necessarily to like get people from that, right? But one, to like let people know that we're here, but then also cultivate like some sort of relationship because we were big in like the birth community. We had pretty good relationships with a lot of the birth community in Kansas City. Well, that's just not like here in Nebraska. It's a completely different environment. So we had to figure out different ways to create different relationships. And then kind of switch our marketing to be more like Facebook heavy and friendly instead of like Instagram and those different types of things. So organic content is huge around here. I don't see anybody running any sort of Facebook ads. So it's all just about getting the education out there, creating an organic brand online, and ultimately just letting people know that we're here, because we still are like getting told people have no idea that we're in this town, and we're like, is that possible?
Yeah.
So
It's a gut check too, because you're like, man, we've been here. It's just been a year and a half basically, but like there's still so much more that we could do to get outreach. And then what
we
I
do
wanted,
community events too, I
yeah,
guess.
we do a lot of community events, working on workshops in the practice to do. Mary does like a prenatal workshop for all the pregnant moms because they don't have any other options outside of hospital education in Nebraska. Because I mean, home birth isn't illegal, but midwifery is illegal here in Nebraska, which is
Wow.
pretty crazy. I think it's like one of the only states out of the 50 that have that. So it's completely crazy. So you can have like you know, what do you say? Uh
Doula?
no, an assisted
Oh,
home
you
birth.
can have a home birth, but you can't have, because the midwives aren't overseen by like a board. It's, I mean, really similar to chiropractic. It's basically like practicing medicine without a license, and you have all this liability
Mhm.
stuff. So when we moved here, we set out with a mission, understanding that I don't want to call it a desert, but like the community is just different here. So we were like, hey, we not only have to be like the chiropractic experts, but we also have to be the go-to for all health and wellness
Mm.
for families and children and anyone looking to potentially have a family in the future. So that population spans pretty like far and wide. And that's where like the idea of these workshops are coming into play. I started hopefully it's going to be an annual women's event. This is our second one that we're having this year, or a vendor event. And then we also started a mother circle as well too, because if people want help with like lactation, nursing, breastfeeding, or just like support as like a new mom, either like first time mom or beyond, they have to go to Lincoln, which is about 30 minutes away. And we don't feel like that needs to happen. Like if we want to provide and create community here, we need to bring things back to our small community and make sure that it's thriving and developing, so that, families and the potential that we see here in this community can continue to grow the way that we see the potential of that happening.
And all this with let's let everybody know, how many kids do y'all have?
We have 3 kids,
3 kids, and the ages of what to what?
5, 3, and 1.
5, 3, and 1. And you guys are still doing all this. You're making an impact in the community. You saw a void, you fill the void. You've moved practices, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you moved practices, what you
Mhm.
say, a year and a half ago. You've moved practices, you've done all this stuff, all while living a life, having the family, doing all that stuff. To me, that's
Yeah.
freaking
And
awesome.
not only that, like I gotta throw this on there because Mary is the director of our homeschool community. So she's starting a homeschool community to bring other families that don't want to do public school system and do a faith-based system. That's a homeschool group community where people can get together, which is really amazing as well. Getting that started here in the community.
Help the
Um,
community, and that's another opportunity at Connections,
Mhm.
100%.
which
Yeah.
with people who are already basically, I'm going to use the word pre-qualified, but they're
Yeah,
already
100%.
they're more, down that road right there. So that's freaking awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And
So
the one thing I would do want to say about like marketing, especially with an online presence, is that it takes a long time too. So like students, it's not just a 6 month thing or even a year thing. Like how I can't tell you how many times when we were in Kansas City, people would be like, yeah, I've been following you guys for like 2, 3, 4 years
mm,
before they ever make their appointment to come in. Because there's a trust value there that they're trying to
Yeah.
gain with you, and they want to see that repetitive content over and over again, making sure that you're not just switching to
That
the
you're
new best
consistent.
thing, and when they start to see that consistency, that's when they begin to trust you.
That even happened with Lunch and Learn. So I'll never forget when someone walked in. There's like a little restaurant district across the street from our office in Kansas City, because we're in Westport for you Kansas City folk.
Yep. Yep.
And they just like walked in and they're like, "Hey, I have your business card, and we saw your sign, and we had like our emblem was a tree that like had a spine off of it inside of a circle, and they like show us this card, and they're like, you came and talked to us 2 years ago. You did a lunch and learn, and they saw that, and it just sparked a memory, made some sort of impact on them, and they were like, "Can we come in for an exam?" We're like,
You never know.
"Yeah, you never know
Yeah.
how
I still
reaching."
have the old story of the wife, the set for 17 years. The husband would come into the office. Wife was always, she'd come in to talk to my ladies or whatever, and every time I'd stick my head out and I'd say, "Is today the day?" And she's like, "Nope." 17 years later during COVID, I stepped out. I goes, "Today the day?" And as I stepped back in, she goes, "Yep." And I went, "Whoa, whoa, what?" 17 years. Every time her husband came in, I stepped out and was like, "Hey,
Well,
are you giving it consideration?" So yeah, plant those seeds. Plant those.
yep.
100%.
That's awesome. So now I'm gonna make you put your thinking caps on, both of you guys. You can take two answers or one, whatever you decide to do. So what would you say? What do you believe is the most important factor or factors to we're going to use the word success to climb the ladder of success. I'm not talking about get the patients, do all that stuff. What do you think are the most important factor or factors to climb the ladder of success or to be successful?
You want to
That
start?
thinking cap.
So Dr. Joe said this actually today, and I've heard people say this before, but like your practice is a reflection of the 6 inches between your ears, right? So if you want to be successful and know that that possibility is there, it's like breaking down yourself to be able to make that happen. Because I swear, like we talk about this all the time, the older that we get, or like the further along that we get in practice, like the less we know.
Mhm.
And so just the willingness to be taught and to be mentored and just to have like you don't know everything, right? Like we don't know everything. That's not really what we were created to do. But then also like understanding like if you put the work in, like put the work in and God is always going to provide. But the key is that you can't be attached to that outcome. So you're not doing these things for a specific reason. You're doing them because it's the right thing to do. And then things are flourishing for that afterwards. So for us, like discipline routines are like they're big for us because they allow us to be grounded. And then we don't, it's like one less thing that we have to think about, but it's a way to get 1% better each and every single day.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. There's some practical things that you can do as well that successful people do, like model success is a big thing. So successful people are gonna write down their goals. They're gonna journal on their thoughts. They're gonna, continue to go to continuing education to broaden their horizon, learn new things. Like those are big things because I will say since moving here, it's much easier to be on an island by yourself. Where in Kansas City, there was chiropractors all over the place where we could get up together. I'd go golfing with chiropractors all the time. Like there's that interaction with people that are like-minded with you. But when you're getting your own little island, maybe you're not in a big community that you have those resources available that you have to intentionally seek those out, and surround yourself with other like-minded, but not just like-minded, but successfully like-minded people, people that are a level up from you because you want to rise to that level then as well. So I think those are really important keys to being successful, to see what success looks like, when you listen, because we listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. Like Ed Milet, or I like Andy Frisella a lot. Listening to those guys. And like, walking in that success, like Ed Milet, I've heard him so many times talking about like when they weren't making it, they hit a goal and they would go to the Ritz-Carlton to see what it's like, to experience it, to feel it. And I can't tell you how many times that like we would do that. Like we would go drive around, nice neighborhoods or whatever it is. Speaking of goals, like one of the coolest things that when I was just getting into practice, we went and we sat in this park that overlooked the entire city. So getting out of our comfort zone, writing out goals. We wrote out like 50 of them or something like that. And one of my goals was to move the practice into a new building because we had to basically because we were overfilled where we were by October of 2020, and we signed a lease and moved our practice in October of 2020, literally like 3 years after doing that exercise, which was amazing because I didn't even see it. It wasn't like a goal that I was like looking at, but we were moving from our starter home. We had purchased a brand new home in the city that we were moving to, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I was like flipping through it, and I was like, "Oh, look at this!" And I was like, "There it is, right there. Look at that." It's amazing. So setting those goals out for yourself, are a big reason. Purpose, mission, vision, all those
Yeah.
things help too.
Begin with the end in mind, right? Like I feel like that's a like phrase that's thrown around and you like I didn't really understand it when I had first heard it. I was like, yeah, that's like a really good idea. But now it's like, especially as we've gotten older and we have kids and we have a family, it's like, oh, like that vision just keeps growing and growing and growing. Whereas like before it was kind of honestly hard to come up with a vision. And now it's a little bit more urgent, but like knowing like you have to have a compass, right? Like you have to know where you're going and then being able to break those things down, like he was saying, into different goals. And like something that I recently had the realization of is like, don't set small goals. Like the bigger your goals are, the more it has to like create a change in you. And like that's when you really go for it. Um, is like having goals so big that like it forces you to change. That's why like they'll talk about like Grant Cardone and Benjamin Hardy, they talk about like 10x is easier than 1x, right? Because it forces a change. It makes you have to like become that person, be that future version of yourself in order to attain that goal.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Taylor, I'm just going to tell you, because we mainly talk to male doctors at this point. I'm very impressed. You better start picking up your end of this deal because it sounds like your wife is just very impressed, Mary. You do a lot of really cool things. I
Yeah.
think that that's awesome. And with just talking to my brother, some of the conversations we have about just the overwhelming nature of what they're going through in school, and I just would laugh and he'd be like, "Well," and I said, "Man, you don't even know what real life is. You've not yet lived for someone other than Guy Parker yet. So it's going to be totally different level whenever you have something else that's greater than you to live for. And Mary, you're killing it, right? I'm very impressed because I had a lot of really successful gals that I went to school with that I talked to from time to time, and it just goes to show that you guys can do anything that we can do, and probably better in a lot of ways. So, advice for new docs, right? Um, well, I want your opinion, right? And there's no wrong answer to this. Like I said, there's someone that's going to resonate with Taylor and Mary Phipps, and we want them to kind of see this. So, just want your take. Um, what would you say? Low overhead or go big to start?
We kind of had it both ways.
What would you be your take? This is kind of a quick shooting answer. I mean, what would y'all say?
I would say low overhead. Yeah, we're both that way for sure. I mean, you guys should see our office now. Where what we went to in Kansas City was one of the most beautiful offices that we've ever even seen. It was ours. It was amazing. And then we're in this like, what are we in 900 square foot now? Like low overhead. Like we didn't have any.
70s office.
We didn't have any staff starting out.
We
Again.
laughed when we saw this thing the first time because we had a different vision of what our office was going to be when we moved here. So we were like, okay, there's no way.
So
Well,
yes, we're very much low overhead to start.
Awesome. So, associateship or start your own practice?
I think that's depending upon the individual for sure.
And it depends on the associateship, I think, as well, too, and the
Mhm.
kind of mentorship. If you have an opportunity to have a great associateship and like learn a lot, I think it's totally worth it to do, like a shorter contract. I'm not saying sign up for 7 years or anything, but if you have a really awesome opportunity for like 2, 3 years, maybe you lived in the Midwest your whole life and you can go, I don't know, like outside of that little bubble just to see a little bit different part of the world. I think that's personally a great opportunity because a lot of times those docs will pay for other mentorship. You get to see things that you want to emulate, things that you don't want to emulate. But you just have to be like wise on how you choose that, right? I think if you are going to open, it's really important to have some sort of community. I think investing in mentorship is 100% worth it.
Mhm.
But I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, it just depends on who you are, what your situation is for sure as well. an associateship. I agree with everything Mary said. If you're going to be started, you just have to be on fire though. Like there's no one
You don't
coming to
hang a
save
shingle.
you. Yeah, people aren't just going to walk in your door. Like you got to be motivated. You got to be ready to speak chiropractic, like ready to, just change the world. Like you literally got to be on fire to change the world if you're going to start. Or else, you're really going to struggle. Like we've seen a lot of people start a practice and struggle because maybe they didn't have a low overhead and they went big to start and they didn't know how to converse and speak chiropractic. And if you're not able to convey chiropractic and what it is, you're never going to keep the practice member in the door. So you got to be on fire, be a good communicator if you're going to be starting your own.
And you got to be willing to work and put in the hours. Like
Yeah.
when we were during those COVID times, we were in the office from, I mean, it was before 8 a.m. and there were nights that we did not leave until 9 p.m.
Mhm.
with a
I think
5-month-old baby, you know. Like,
awesome. I
Yeah.
think y'all hit the nail on the head on the associateship. There's like I said, we're on the outside. We've been out of school for a long time. I sit on the alumni board for Parker for several years, three separate terms, and I just kept hearing the same thing that chiropractors eat their own young. Chiropractors eat their own, and I like how you put it, Mary. An opportunity to learn, because that's what it should be. You're getting paid to learn, and I don't think that chiropractors should take advantage of their associates. And I know that some of that happens, but I mean, it's like frowned upon in school right now. It's crazy how it's like, oh my God, you're selling your soul to the devil if you do an associateship. But there's a lot of folks out there that are going to lose their ass because they, like you said, they don't know what they don't know, and you just don't. I think it's important to hear that. So I like how you put that. One more, management group or go it alone.
Yeah. I think we hit the
you need a
head.
mentor.
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't have to
100%.
be a management group,
Yeah.
right? But a mentor. And I think like Taylor said earlier, it needs to be paid because then your skin is, like you have more in it. So because you're giving someone money, like you're gonna actually like do the work that's required. And I will say too, on the like ownership versus associateship, there's nothing wrong with being an associate. Like if you listen to Andy Frisella, it kind of seemed like maybe you did. Like he talks about entrepreneurs versus entrepreneurs. And like we need both to make the world go round. So if you find an associateship that like is just a great fit and like you don't want to deal with all the business stuff, like that's fine because we also need associate chiropractors that are freaking rock stars and still on fire for chiropractic to be able to get more people seen. You're helping expand other people's vision. You have that same vision. So there's nothing wrong with either one. It's just, again, what's going to fit you best. And so knowing thyself is going to be really important in those aspects. But
Absolutely. You guys have been
Awesome.
awesome. I appreciate you guys. We do have one more question, but it's an easy one. But I appreciate you guys doing this because I know you guys had to take time out of your day. But again, I know you guys as committed. I wanted the young Kairos to see the possibilities, if that makes sense. The married couples, the this and that. My son hangs out with a lot of couples that are married. He'll be married himself, and it's just one of those things that, hey, it can work. It's a challenge, but it can work. You guys have had your fair share of challenges. You still have a lot of challenges ahead of you. Even as an old person in chiropractic, I know I still have challenges ahead of me. So, to end it, and then we can open it up if you guys want to discuss anything after this. But do you guys believe that we need more chiropractors or less chiropractors? And
Oh man.
and on why?
and why?
And why?
Oh, because everyone's subluxated and sick.
Yeah. With the amount of chiropractors that we have now, there's no way we can take care of the population the way the population needs to be cared for right now. Like we're so inundated with so much social media and so many toxins and so much more than even like I think about this a lot with like BJ in terms of like frequency of care and all those kinds of things. We have so many more things that are going to cause us to become subluxated within the world today with the amount of stresses, yeah, we're not doing like the physical labor, but sitting like this is much worse for your spine than going out and throwing hay or something, like we just have so many people, and
It's
it's
starting to.
honestly, I mean, I've been hearing it for years, but it continues to ring more and more true that it's never been a better time to be a chiropractor than it is right now. Like, there's so many people leaving what they used to know about health and seeking other opinion and advice, and chiropractic is 100% the answer.
I think too that it's
Awesome.
like there's no such thing really as competition in this
Yeah.
profession. So like just to give you an example, sorry about our dog. He's really infatuated with our neighbors right now. We moved to a town of 7,000 people. We applied, it was an SBA loan, right?
Mhm.
And we were like, hey, we're gonna try to work with this with this local bank. We want to support local, like it will be all good. They should want small businesses to come back here. So we give them our business plan. And like, of course, we're using like the numbers that we have actual evidence of because we had been in practice. And they basically laughed at us and were like, that's not possible because there's, two other chiropractors in town, I guess maybe three at that point. And like, this is what this guy says is a good week. And we're like, are you kidding me right now? Like, so everyone's gonna vibe with different people. And so like those other chiropractors are still like successful and thriving, but we serve a very different population. Like you as a person are gonna like serve a different population no matter where you're at. So
Love it. I always say it this way: we all go to different churches.
totally,
Yeah.
yeah.
Same God, but we go to different churches. So we need. I can only serve one church, so I need people at other churches. And how many? Just in my little community of Edmond, how many churches are there? There's a lot, and probably more churches than there are chiropractors.
Yeah, and it's selfish to
Mhm.
serve everyone,
Yeah, don't be afraid. Like, honestly, like we refer someone at least once, twice a week to another practice because we already know we don't necessarily have a scarcity mindset because it's like, yeah, we want to see new people, but they also need to be a good fit. Like, like if people want to be adjusted today, we refer to the other doc in town that we know is going to be able to provide that care for them.
Or
So,
like Medicare, like
yeah,
we are not like participating providers. They want to use that. Like
yeah.
there's no sense in us trying to sit here and like convince them otherwise. Like just go to someone else who can use those benefits. It's fine.
Yeah. So we need
You gotta
chiropractors.
receive care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need chiropractors that do a little bit different things, because some, resonates with other people as long as they're getting adjusted and not
100%. That's
only
awesome.
getting stretched or getting
That's a
laser.
great spot to end on because that sums it up right there. Seriously, that there is no competition within the practice of chiropractic, and I think that thought process is what leads to the chiropractors kill their young and all that stuff. It leads to that thought process, which is not true. So, any closing thoughts or anything, guys? Thank you so much, first of all, for setting this up and getting I know you had to get childcare, all that stuff. I appreciate that. But any closing thoughts, Travis, Dr. Travis?
I have one totally unrelated question for you guys. What town are you guys in?
Crete, Nebraska.
So and you said that's fairly close to Lincoln.
Mhm.
I know where he's going.
How far is York, Nebraska from you?
45 minutes.
Oh,
Wow, my daughter goes to school at York University.
Oh, yeah?
She started off on the volleyball team. Now she's on the track and field team. You
Okay.
know,
Nice.
so and she's got one more year of school up there. I was just wondering, because for whatever reason in my head, I thought that you guys practiced in a different state. I had no idea you were in Nebraska, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
do
Well,
you guys have any closing thought processes that you want to say to the students or anything? Or
Yeah, students, it sucks right now and it's hard, but it's worth it,
Mhm.
So it's
Especially
worth
like
it.
when you start, like if you guys haven't been adjusting people and when you start having the connections with people and like someone dies and they come to like you, so, like they want to be in your office, like creating a culture like that, it's something really, really special, man. Like someone has a hard time to have a miscarriage, whatever it is, and like they come to you or they're coming to you and they're like, I just gotta, engage. We're pregnant, like when you start to get involved with people in their lives at that level, it's really something special. Like you get to create a whole new family within your practice, which is something really awesome. And then the longer you're in it, you start to see those chiropractic miracles, like Dr. Mary, like all these other things that people are like, no, I no longer have cancer. I no longer am dealing with this or that, the other. It's just like it's amazing. Like what you guys are going through right now, it's tough, but it'll definitely pay dividends and definitely fill your cup when you get into practice.
Read the books. I mean, pass your boards, right? Like that's what school is there to do. So don't get jaded. I think it's really easy to get jaded, just with different experiences in school, but know that there's like an ending there and like invest in yourself while you can right now. Like I know there's going to be people out there who disagree with me, but use your Grad Plus loans, not necessarily to like live a lavish lifestyle, but like take the seminars now while they are first of all cheaper, but then two, you can build your skill base and then really have an understanding of the population that you want to serve outside of school as well too. Read business books. Like these are some things. I mean, we took a bunch of seminars in school, but like didn't really do much. I didn't do much with business inside of school. And like you need to have that information and knowledge and like different versions of motivation to keep you going as well too. So whatever it is that fills your cup, whether it's philosophy seminars, technique seminars, learning more about the business, do those things to help carry you through those tough times.
That's awesome. You guys rock. I know you know that, but you guys rock. That's awesome.
Thanks for having
Thank you
us.
guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of us. If they need anything, you
Absolutely.
guys can always look us up or get our numbers from Wes or Travis there.
Well, where can they look you up? Like, are y'all on Facebook, all that stuff?
Yep, we're on Facebook personally. Our office is on Facebook and Instagram, Alpha Omega Chiropractic. Um, yeah, that's the only, we're not on LinkedIn or anything like that. So
It's awesome. Guys, thank you so much. Y'all have
Cool.
a fantastic night.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks guys.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you guys.